Why? Because fuck them, that's why.
Greetings, programs. Welcome to the NotMySTARWARS live stream. I was having technical difficulties, and I had to restart my computer. It was not recognizing the camera and mic. I'm speaking very fast because the press conference has begun. So, no intro today. We're going to get right into it. We're going to see what Disney's up to. I apologize for being a little late in the quickness of everything, but it is what it is. We got to jump into it. We'll see what Disney's talking about. I thought I had started live a couple minutes ago, and I didn't. So here we are. Last quarter, they had picked up about 6 million subscribers. Let's see where they're at now. They were at roughly 103 million. We'll see what Disney's doing now. I very much doubt that things are looking good. As always, I will be fair and honest, and we will look at the numbers. I will also look at the PDFs afterwards, and we will break it all down. This will be a fairly quick stream. We're going to get through the report. I'll discuss it, and then I'm going to close out. But I hope everyone is great. Friday, we will do a stream. There's a bit of little news here and there. Nothing major, but anything can happen. And we'll do the do as we always do. Thank you, as always, for supporting. Love you guys. And one last note, as I said, this live stream and all of my future live streams and videos will be dedicated to my late friend, Jonathan Rinzler. It is a fundraiser stream for St. Jude Children's Hospital. The cause may change, but in general, that will be the fundraiser. You are always welcome and appreciated to make a donation. It could be $1, it could be $1,000, whatever you want to do. It's not necessary, but I appreciate it. You can also, in the replay, donate. The fundraiser is always open and ongoing. It doesn't have a goal. The goal is to help kids. And yes, I know about Gina, and yes, we will discuss on Friday. All I will say is, I told you so. She ain't coming back to Disney. So let's get into the report. Again, Friday, we can talk about all kinds of stuff going on. There's not huge stuff, but it's the last episode of Bad Batch. There are some things going on, and also what we're going to find out here. Usually the beginning of these financial reports is not that interesting, so we haven't really missed much of anything. But if there's anything, you know that I will go back, record it, and make a video. So with that said, let's get into it and see what the House of Mouse is talking about. You should see that. Okay, let's fucking go. And I am in a devilish mood today, guys, so let's have some fun. I had to just redo my camera and mic, so if the sound is crazy, let me know. If you can hear me properly, if it's too loud, too low.
Offset by declines at linear networks and content sales, licensing, and other. At linear networks, operating results were lower at both our domestic and international channels.
Everyone can hear me. Everyone can hear the stream. Everything good? Let me know.
Cable and broadcasting operating income decreased in the third quarter versus the prior year. The decrease in operating income at cable was due to higher programming and production costs and higher marketing costs, partially offset by higher advertising and affiliate revenue. As we called out last quarter, the increase in Q3 programming and production costs was due to the return of live sports at ESPN, driven by the NBA and Major League Baseball. In the prior year quarter, a significant number of live sporting events were canceled or delayed due to COVID-19. At broadcasting, lower results from the ABC television network were only partially offset by growth at our owned television stations. The decrease at ABC was largely due to higher programming and production costs, partially offset by higher advertising and affiliate revenue. The increase in programming and production costs was due to an increase in the average cost of programming and the shift in timing of the Academy Awards, which aired in the third quarter compared to the second quarter in the prior fiscal year. Domestic advertising revenue increased year over year at both cable and broadcasting, driven by favorable comparisons versus the prior year due to COVID-19. At cable, the increase was driven by ESPN, where third quarter advertising revenue increased by $400 million versus the prior year, reflecting the return of live sporting events. Q4 to date, Domestic cash advertising revenue at ESPN is currently pacing above prior year, but bear in mind that this comparison is complicated by various COVID and timing impacts from the prior year.
You're running out of excuses,
We're not
Disney.
going to provide a forecast for the quarter, but the underlying sports ad marketplace remains strong for us, particularly in a quarter in which the Olympics were held. At broadcasting, higher advertising results were primarily driven by increased rates and the timing of the Academy Awards, which benefited both the owned television stations and ABC. Total domestic affiliate revenue increased 4% in the quarter. This was driven by a benefit of 8 points of growth from higher rates, offset by a 3-point decline due to a decrease in subscribers. Results at international channels declined due to higher programming and production costs, partially offset by higher advertising revenue. Both of these factors were impacted by the return of live sporting events, and in particular, the Indian Premier League, which held cricket matches from April 9th until the season was postponed on May 4th, versus no matches in the prior year quarter due to COVID-19. Turning to direct-to-consumer, Q3 operating income improved by over $300 million versus the prior year, driven by Hulu, partially offset by a higher loss at Disney+. The increase at Hulu was due to growth in subscription and advertising revenue, partially offset by higher programming costs related to Hulu Live. Hulu ended the third quarter with 42.8 million paid subscribers, up from 41.6 million in Q2, inclusive of the Hulu Live digital MVPD service. Paid subscribers to Hulu Live decreased slightly to 3.7 million from 3.8 million at the end of Q2. At Disney+, operating results decreased versus the prior year due to higher programming and production, marketing, and technology costs, driven by the ongoing expansion of the service. These higher costs were partially offset by increased subscription revenue, reflecting subscriber growth and increases in retail pricing, as well as Premier Access revenue for Cruella. Note that Disney Plus Premier Access revenue is included in our DTC operating results, but is excluded for the purposes of calculating ARPU. As Bob mentioned earlier, we ended the third quarter with 116 million global paid subscribers to Disney Plus, up from approximately 104 million in the second quarter.
So they got roughly 12 million subscribers in the last quarter.
Accounted for the majority of our net subscriber additions between Q2 and Q3, making up a little less than 40% of our total Disney Plus subscriber base as of the end of the third quarter. However, subscriber growth was also solid at our core Disney Plus markets, excluding Disney Plus Hotstar, with total quarter-over-quarter net adds in those markets consistent with net adds from Q2.
Everything sound okay? You can hear me?
Disney Plus's overall ARPU this quarter was $4.16. Excluding Disney Plus Hotstar, it was $6.12, or an increase of about 50 cents versus the second quarter, reflecting a benefit from the recent price increases both domestically and abroad. Disney Plus Hotstar ARPU also increased from Q2 to Q3 due to higher ad revenue per subscriber, reflecting the roughly 4 weeks of IPL matches that were played in Q3 versus none in Q2.
Indian Premier League.
At ESPN Plus, operating results in the quarter were comparable versus the prior year. ESPN Plus ended Q3 with 14.9 million paid subscribers, reflecting over 1 million net subscriber additions versus the second quarter. Content sales, licensing, and other operating income at DMED decreased in the third quarter versus the prior year due to lower home entertainment and theatrical distribution results. The decrease in home entertainment results was due to lower unit sales of new release titles, reflecting the performance of Raya and the Last Dragon and Soul in the third quarter compared to Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker, Frozen 2, Onward, Call of the Wild, and Ford vs. Ferrari in the prior year quarter, along with lower catalog sales. The decrease in theatrical distribution results was primarily due to higher marketing expense for future releases and lower operating income from titles in release. Looking ahead, there are a handful of items I would like to mention as you think about our fourth quarter. At Linear Networks, we expect fourth quarter operating income to decline versus the prior year, reflecting incremental marketing and programming costs at ABC and FX, in addition to an adverse comparison to last year's benefit from the 53rd week. The increase in marketing and programming expenses at ABC and FX is driven by more than twofold increase in the number of series premieres versus the prior year quarter, as productions in the prior year were impacted by COVID. As it relates to the 53rd week, recall that last year we estimated a benefit of approximately $200 million to the company, which primarily impacted our linear networks. At Content Sales, Licensing, and Other, we are expecting an operating loss in the fourth quarter, driven by a number of items, including higher marketing and distribution costs in the theatrical window due to more titles being released versus the prior year, in addition to lower results from home entertainment and third-party content licensing. We now expect our capital expenditures in fiscal 2021 to be approximately $200 million lower than our fiscal 2020 CapEx of $4 billion, due to lower spending at our domestic parks and resorts, partially offset by increased spending for facilities across the enterprise and technology for our DTC services. And finally, in light of the ongoing recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as our continued prioritization of investments that support our growth initiatives, the board decided not to declare or pay a dividend for the first half of fiscal 2021. Longer term, we do anticipate that both dividends and share repurchases will remain a part of our capital allocation strategy. However, for the time being, we don't anticipate declaring a dividend or repurchasing shares until we return to a more normalized operating environment and our leverage is back to levels more consistent with a single-A credit rating. And with that, I'll now turn the call back over to Lowell, and we would be happy to take your questions.
Okay, thanks, Christine. And once again, as we transition to the Q&A, let me note that since we are not physically together this afternoon, I will do my best to moderate the Q&A by directing your questions to the appropriate executive. And with that, we are ready for the first question.
Our first question comes from the line of Michael Nathanson of MoffettNathanson. Your line is open.
Thanks. Lowell, I'll let you choose the speakers, but here are the questions. One is, I wanted to understand how the company's thinking about near-term theatrical releases, given the steep fall off in second week box, the rise of the Delta variant, international markets still not open. So why not delay or pause release schedules? And then secondly, on DTC profits, I guess more Hulu profits, looks like continually they're getting better than expected. I think you're turned profitable this quarter at Hulu. So I'm wondering why that improvement and why not revisit maybe some of the guidance that was shared earlier on DTC profitability, just given the continual improvement in looks like Hulu profitability. Thanks.
Okay, Michael, thank you for those questions. I'll turn the first one over to Bob, and then Christine can address the Hulu profitability question.
Michael, as you probably recognize, we live in a very uncertain world in terms of the recovery of some of our markets, and the theatrical exhibition world is certainly part of that. We've said from the very beginning that we value flexibility in being able to make as last-minute calls as we can, given what we see in the marketplace. And certainly when we planned our schedule that we're executing right now, we did not anticipate, nor did I think anybody, the resurgence of COVID with the Delta variant that would have such a significant impact on the marketplace. At the same time, when you work in the ecosystem, having a lot of partners, they need to be able to plan their business too. And so at some point, we have to put a stake in the ground and say, For example, Shang-Chi, that's going to be a title that we're going to put in the marketplace, or Free Guy, that's going to be a title that we're going to put into the marketplace. Not knowing, again, 3 months earlier, when you make that commitment, what exactly the marketplace is going to look like. But what I do think that says, Michael, it says that we value flexibility and we value to follow where the consumer is going to go. And while some of that's uncertain, I think in terms of relative to where the rest of the market is, you see that we've got more flexibility in terms of how we program.
At least once for every $1 billion that they're
because the marketplace is rapidly changing. But at some point, you've got to put a stake in the ground and say, this is what we're going to do. And that's where we ended up on Shang-Chi and Free Guy, which are our next 2 titles out.
But Bob, can I just follow up? Why wouldn't you just add Premier Access, given what you saw happen, I think, successfully with Black Widow, to those 2 titles?
Okay, good question. On Free Guy, obviously, this is a title that we acquired under a different distribution assumption and set of agreements, so we don't have the degree of freedom to do that on Free Guy. On Shang-Chi, we think it's actually going to be an interesting experiment for us because it's got only a 45-day window for us. So the prospect of being able to take a Marvel title to the service after going theatrical with 45 days will be yet another data point to inform our actions going forward on our titles. But once again, I'll refer back to my previous answer. When we planned Shang-Chi, that title was planned on being in a much more healthy theatrical environment. And at this point, unfortunately, due to distribution agreements that we have and due to just the practicalities of last minute changes, it wouldn't be possible.
Thanks.
I'll take your question on Hulu, Michael. You're absolutely correct. Hulu exceeded our expectations, and it was profitable this quarter. There's a couple things going on here. One is it has had continued to have subscriber growth and also very strong advertising revenue. The advertising is coming from higher sell-through rates, a lot of addressable advertising, and a significant ramp up in the dynamic ad insertion technology that we have within Hulu Live. So those are things that are driving it. And at the same time, they are, just like all of our other streaming services, they're ramping up their productions, programming, and also marketing expense to promote those new shows. So we're very pleased with what's going on at Hulu, but we're not going to update our guidance yet because we are in the process of doing our fiscal 22 annual operating plan. And if we feel that we have to update it after we complete that, we will certainly do it.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, Michael, thanks for the questions. Operator, next question, please.
The next question comes from Alexia Quadrani of JP Morgan. Your line is open.
Thank you. My questions are on the park side, if I can. I guess the first one is we've seen, really much improved results this quarter. And moving forward, I'm curious if you're seeing any recent impacts from the Delta variant, either domestic or international.
Every call, the same girl gets a question.
Particularly as you're increasing capacity. And then just staying on the parks, maybe you can elaborate on how we should view sort of longer-term profitability, given the improvements you're able to make in terms of automating many aspects of the parks during COVID or while they were closed.
They're getting sued because they made promises and writing checks that they
cleaning
cannot
expenses
cash.
perhaps staying for a while, and other expenses related to COVID staying for a while, given how this variant has continued to kind of make COVID still very much part of our lifestyle. Thank you.
All right, Alexia, thanks for the question. So Bob, maybe you talk about Delta's impact on parks, and you may want to talk about, leading into Alexia's second question, some of the yield stuff we've been doing. And Christine, you probably want to follow up on the second part.
Okay, in terms of impact of the Delta variant, we see strong demand for our parks continuing. And the primary noise that we're seeing right now are really around group or convention cancellations. In other words, large groups that are coming in relatively short term. But on the whole, we see really strong demand for our parks. In fact, our park reservations now are above our Q3 attendance levels. And as you just saw with our earnings announcement, our Q3 attendance levels were pretty darn good. So we're still bullish about our park business going forward. I may also suggest as a bridge to the second question that we've implemented a reservation system that's going to enable us to spread our demand, increase our yield, and improve our guest experience at the same time. And in terms of the long-lasting impacts that you mentioned, I think some of the cost implications that we need to do for hygienic purposes are going to be relatively short-lived, and frankly, in the grand scheme of operating our parks, not all that material. But what will be the long-lasting impact is the improvements that we're making with guest personalization and guest choice, therefore affecting the tremendous yield benefits that we've been able to extract over the last few quarters. And that's only going to grow in the future with our ability to really do world-class yield management systems through our new reservation system.
Hi, Alexia, and I'd add to that a couple of things. One is we have seen very, very strong per caps in addition to all the yield management things Bob mentioned. But the per caps, in my comments, I referred to them as exceptionally strong. And I would not use that word were it not for the fact that they were exceptional. Last quarter, I said that they were up strong double digits, and this quarter was even stronger. If you look at when a park is closed for a long period of time, as Disneyland was, as Paris was, when they reopen, the per caps really shoot up. And we still have, even though Walt Disney World has been open now for over a year, we're still seeing extremely strong per cap growth continue at that park. So in addition to all the technology things that we're implementing, as Bob mentioned, reservation systems, the dining apps, we're just seeing the consumer behavior be very favorable. And the guest experience is something that we're going to be focused on, especially as we continue to reopen.
Thank you.
Alexia, thanks for the questions today. Operator, next question, please.
The next question comes from Ben Swinburne of Morgan Stanley. Your question, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Couple probably for Christina. I was wondering if you could give us the Hulu advertising growth in the quarter. I think you've given that to us in prior quarters. And then also, just are you expecting the IPL to come back in September at this point? And any update on the Latin American sports situation, since that's part of your launch there? And then if I can ask Bob a parks question just on technology. You mentioned the Disney Genie. You know, how substantial of a sort of an improvement or evolution in the guest experience are you expecting to bring to market? And the My Magic Plus is pretty, it's been around for a while, and I'm just wondering if you think there's a real transformation ahead for the business as you take advantage of the last, year plus of downtime to reinvent the experience. Just maybe add some context would be helpful.
Okay, Ben.
Thank you.
Thanks for the questions. Thank you, Ben. I think we'll start with Bob if you want to talk a little bit about some of the technology at the parks, and then we'll go to Christine to talk about Hulu ad growth, IPL, and LATAM.
Okay, Ben, you used the correct word, transformational. My Magic Plus was us basically sticking our toe in the pond of this type of transformational work. Disney Genie, though, is that program on steroids. This is going to revolutionize our guest experience. Guests are going to spend less time waiting and more time having fun in our parks with a dramatically improved guest experience that's going to make their navigation of their day and their planning of their day much easier. Essentially, what it's going to do is take the consumer preferences that we note from our consumers, given what we know from them, and blend that with basically industrial engineering data that we've got in terms of how our park is operating that day, and meld those together to make suggestions on the fly that not only will lead to that improved guest experience, but at the same time lead to substantial commercial opportunities for us as the guest navigates their days. So it certainly qualifies in my mind for both materiality and transformational impact on our business from a yield standpoint.
Great.
Okay, Ben, I'll try to go through yours. Hopefully I can remember them all. So Hulu. Hulu did have very strong advertising growth in the quarter, and we continue to see that growth quarter after quarter. We haven't specifically quantified it, But I would say that it is driven by higher impressions as well as rates. And as I mentioned, the ability for us to use the dynamic ad insertion in Hulu Live is also a benefit. I think the advertising sales team, if they had more inventory, they could certainly sell it. There's that much demand for it. Just to put some context around it, because I think it's a precursor of what the upfront showed, is that we came out of a very strong upfront, but we had about 40% of the total upfront dollars into streaming and digital, and a lot of that is not only across Hulu, but also across our other entertainment and sports platforms. So I think that just shows that the kind of advertising that's going through Hulu is certainly a growth driver. The IPL is coming back. It's scheduled to come back on September 19th, and it will run through, I believe the last final match is scheduled for mid-October, around October 15th. When you think about Disney Plus Hotstar, IPL is certainly a very, very important component of the offerings, but it's only one because we also have a very broad portfolio of general entertainment as well as other sports. And it has a lot of originals and content, library content in it from all of the Disney Plus brands and IP. And we added over 18,000 of original local programming every year. So we feel, really good about, not only the IPL, but also Hotstar Plus. And LATAM, we will be, LATAM, the launch for LATAM is in later this quarter, but I don't have any updates to anything new on the sports side.
Thank you.
Okay, Ben, thanks for the questions. Operator, next question, please.
Our next question comes from Doug Mitchelson of Credit Suisse. Your line is open.
Oh, thanks so much. So Lowell, two questions. It's certainly nice to see the U.S. parks profitable in fiscal 3Q, and I'd note that operating expenses are back at 81% of 2019 fiscal 3Q levels, while revenues about 60% of 2019 levels. And that seems consistent with commentary that you made in the past that you have to ramp overhead in advance of consumers coming back to the parks. So my question is the overhead now sort of re-ramped at the parks? Can we look at this as the right overhead level? And from here, it's variable costs growing with consumers continuing to come back, and that's how we should think about modeling the parks going forward. And then the second area is just on streaming. I hope you could discuss the health of Disney Plus. How was engagement trending in the quarter? How was churn trending in the quarter? What was the impact of Star as you merged in with Disney Plus in Europe? And anything else you want to note on the health of Disney Plus would be appreciated. Thank you.
Okay, Doug, thanks for the questions. Bob, you may want to start on the streaming question, and I don't know if you want to make some comments on kind of parks cost ramp, and then Christine, you may want to jump in on that as well.
Okay, in terms of the health of Disney Plus, we feel really great about our sub trajectory. We've got world-class content from the world's best storytellers, plus our international launches, plus the power of the Disney bundle. And you asked the question about churn. We're really pleased with churn. We've taken some price increases over the past few quarters, and what you're seeing is that our churn has declined, including in Latin America, where we went up, in Europe, by €2 when we added Star brand as a sixth brand tile. So our retention is very healthy across the globe. We're really, really pleased with that. And I think, again, it really goes back to the price value that we're offering our guests. When you take out Luca, Loki, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, there's something essentially new each week. You blend that together with a tremendous local investment that we're making in our international territories, and it's really a price value proposition that is really great. So, the fact that our churn is so low, our engagement is so high, our retention is so high amongst, the local quarters where we're taking price increases, I think says everything about it. In terms of, and I'll start this off, Christine, on the cost side and what we expect to see in terms of our parks profitability. But right now, you can use a lot of different metrics to look at our business. In California, we've got all 3 of our hotels open, for example. We've got 70% of our available rooms open in Walt Disney World. So you can see that we're not quite 100% available at this point, but I think that a lot of the costs from here on out are variable. Obviously, as we scale our business and we get up closer and closer to 100% capacities, our efficiencies in operating become much, much higher. So I think you'll see disproportionate benefit as we go from here on. Christine, I don't know if you want to elaborate.
Yeah, I would just add that that our parks, our plan, and once again, we'll monitor the trends with what's going on with the Delta variant, but we're expecting to have our parks domestically be fully staffed up by the end of this calendar year, calendar 2021. And we're going to be increasing capacities as we have the demand, and we're also being able to thoroughly train our employees as they come back in. And once again, this is an ever-changing landscape with COVID, but we're going to be particularly careful, and we're also going to bring our capacity online aggressively but measured. We're not just going to open up the doors and fling them open. So we're doing this in a measured fashion for the health and safety of not only our guests, but also our cast members in the parks.
Thank you so much.
Doug, thanks for the questions. Operator, next question, please.
Our next question comes from Jessica Rice-Ehrlich of Bank of America. Your question, please.
Thanks. I have one on Disney Plus and one on film. You mentioned that you're opening in Japan, fully opening in Japan in October. It's such a big country with a huge affinity for everything Disney. I mean, the parks are doing really well there, and it's a very affluent country. So I was wondering if you could give us any color on market size and ARPU. And then on film, the industry's undergone such massive change over the last 2 years towards streaming, but obviously the pandemic has had a big impact, but it was moving in that direction anyway. With the jury out on how much the box office will come back to pre-COVID levels, how do you think about the success of a film in today's environment? And how does that impact the way you attract talent, the way you compensate talent, and what changes do you expect to make, if any, in your film strategy from here?
Okay, Jessica, thanks a lot. Bob, why don't you take the film question? I don't know if you want to make any comments on Japan, and Christine, you may want to jump in on that one as well.
Okay. Obviously, this world has been disrupted by COVID, and we're all reacting to a very fluid situation in terms of the marketplace. We're very grateful for the fact that we had the ability to take out a lot of titles, both not only in the theatrical marketplace for those that prefer to watch a film that way, but also at the same time through our Disney Premier Access. And that was a winning strategy for us to give consumers the choice for those that decided that going back to a theater was not for them at the same time. That said, these films, Jessica, were really conceived under a time when we did not know what was going to be happening with consumer behavior 3-4 years later, and certainly didn't know about COVID at the time. So we're dealing under a different sort of set of conditions than we thought. What I will say is that just like we've done many times before as the business has evolved and transformed, we've figured out ways to fairly compensate our talent so that no matter what the business model is that we have to go to market with, everybody feels satisfied. And I will say that since COVID has begun, we've entered into hundreds of talent arrangements with our talent, and by and large, they've gone very, very smoothly. So we expect that would be the case going forward. Certainly, this is a time of anxiety in the marketplace, as a lot has changed recently. And again, these films that we're releasing right now were imagined under a completely different environment than, unfortunately, the fate has delivered us. But we're trying to do the best thing for all our constituents and make sure that everybody who's in the value chain, if you will, feels like they're having their contractual commitments honored both from a distribution and a compensation standpoint. What I'll say before I turn it over to Christine on Japan is that remember that heretofore, as we've launched Disney Plus around the world, in Japan, we've done it with a fairly limited distribution system, and that's about to change going forward. But at the same time, that market is under, as they call it, a state of emergency, and that certainly has disrupted that marketplace as we go from a fairly limited distribution now to a much more broad distribution. Christine?
Yeah, Jessica, we fully agree with your assessment of the market and the high degree of affinity that the Japanese market has for Disney IP. So we're in total agreement. We did, as Bob said, did a soft launch with a partner last year, but it was only to a small part of the market, and we're really excited to do the full launch that will be in this coming October for Disney Plus. And we'll see how that goes, but we have been very cautiously optimistic, as we always are, but we believe that IP is going to resonate. We don't, as you know, break out ARPU by individual markets, so we'll just be giving you the Disney Plus ARPUs the way we currently are doing it.
Thank you.
Okay, Jessica, thanks. Operator, next question, please.
Next question comes from Jason Bazinet of Citi. Your line is open.
So I think your digital pivot is incredible, impressive. But I want to ask a question that will come across as bearish, and it's really not. It's an honest question. I think in the salad days of pay TV, maybe we had, I don't know, 75, 80% pay TV penetration, and people were paying, U.S. households, $70 a month or something. And the most mature SVOD platform out there is probably at 50% penetration, with ARPUs that are sort of 1/5 of pay TV ARPUs and not really growing. And I just wonder if you guys have any thoughts on what that means for the broader sort of digital pivot, and are there things that the industry needs to do, as an example, if you think it's tethered to piracy or something like that, that could sort of give you another, or the industry, including you, another leg of growth in terms of net ads that people aren't thinking about. Thanks.
So Bob, do you want to take that? Thanks, Jason, for the question, by the way.
Jason, I like to think of it like we're in the first inning of the first game of a very long season. We've not even been at this right now, as Disney at least, for 2 full years. Despite that 2 full years, as you suggested, we've gone into 61 countries in 21 months. So we're very proud of that, and we're proud of the success that we've had. I would caution not to come to any conclusions about the size of the market. We've got a TAM of 1.1 billion households across the globe, and we've only just begun our journey. And as I think you see, what's really going to make the difference for Disney is our spectacular content told by the best storytellers against our powerhouse franchises. You put that in the context of also all the local investments that we're making, and I think we're going to have a bright future ahead. And I understand the benchmark that you're using, but I think this is a different marketplace, and I think we're charging forward to maximize the opportunity given our unique combinations of not only distribution platforms but intellectual property and storytelling.
Thank you.
Jason, thanks for the question. Operator, next question, please.
Our next question comes from Brett Feldman of Goldman Sachs. Please go ahead.
Yes, thanks. Earlier, Bob, you were talking about the power of the Disney bundle, and in the U.S., you've really taken a bundle-centric approach to the market. I was hoping you could give us some insight into that power, whatever you can share to help us understand why the bundle is so successful, either the portion of your subs, Disney Plus subs that are in the bundle, or the portion of the gross ads or engagement. Whatever you can offer would be great. And then just expanding on that a little bit, if the bundle really does appear to be the most compelling product in the portfolio, why not just make it the core product and eliminate the complexity to the consumer in terms of thinking about which elements of the Disney entertainment ecosystem they want and just give it all to them at once? Thank you.
All right, Brett, thanks for the questions. I'll turn them over to Bob.
Okay, in terms of the bundle, you see that the majority, or not, maybe not the majority, but a good chunk of our marketing now is going towards a bundle. And that's because while we enjoy extremely low churn rates on our individual services, the churn rates on the bundle are even lower, surprisingly low even for us. And I think what that says is that our customers enjoy the price value of the bundle that we offer. They're getting an incredible amount of content for a really good price. While I can't comment on some of the specific percentages that you're probably looking for, but I will make a comment on sort of going forward. You notice that across the world, we've got different business models. We've got different business models for two reasons. Number one, the unique situation that we find ourselves in each market, whether it's Europe or LATAM or Asia or North America, tend to be different in terms of what rights we have and what the consumers are actually looking for. But that also gives us an opportunity to test out different propositions. Obviously, the proposition that we have in Europe with Star as a 6-brand tile looks significantly different than our relatively unbundled approach that we have in North America. Again, we're in the first inning of the first game of a long season, and we're taking all this into account. There may also be certain constraints that we're under that could, at least from a short-term standpoint, limit our ability to do what long-term we might feel was ideal. But frankly, we don't know what's ideal yet. I will say that we're extremely pleased in every market that we've launched our direct-to-consumer services. We've exceeded our expectations in every marketplace. So in terms of the way that we've approached the market so far, it's worked really, really well. Is there an opportunity for improvement by considering something different going forward? Possibly. But we're going to continue to learn, and as we learn, I'm sure we'll refine our offerings in the marketplace as time goes on.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Fred, for the questions. Operator, given the time, I think we will take our final question.
Sir, our final question comes from John Hodulik of UBS. Your line is open.
Great, thank you, guys. Maybe the 2024 guide, I think, included 30% of subs coming from Hotstar. I mean, given the strength in Hotstar, does that guidance still hold? And then, given the content release schedule that we have in the second half of the year, do you expect the net ad trends in what I would call the core Disney Plus markets to improve in the back half? And then lastly, just anything you can tell us on this Disney Plus Day in November in terms of how you expect to promote. Is it global or US or any new content that could be launched that day? Anything you could tell us on that would be great. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks, John, for the questions. Bob, why don't you start on Disney Plus Day, and then Christine, you can take the question about Hotstar guide, etc.
Okay, Disney Plus Day will be a balanced approach between global and local product. We're going to have a real exciting lineup, as you might guess, as we approach those consumers who have not yet signed up for Disney Plus with a really attractive group of titles to be announced. But I think it gives us an opportunity to provide a focal point for consumers that have not yet tripped over to Disney Plus. And I think it's going to give us a focal point of excitement and energy that will not only pay benefits in the US, but globally as well. In terms of the net ad question and how that's going to improve first half versus second half, again, we feel really great about our sub trajectory. As we learn, though, we're finding out there's tremendous seasonality in this business that we may not have known about before we really got into it, at least in terms of above expectations. Also, I want to caveat that our sub ads aren't necessarily going to be linear. I think a lot of the marketplace expects these things to sort of be straight line math, and it's not really turning out that way. And as we've indicated before, we do believe our first half ads this fiscal year will be stronger than the second half ads. That said, we really feel great about our trajectory. And Christine, want to take it from there?
Sure, and I would just add one thing on the Disney Plus core markets. In this third quarter, when you exclude Disney Plus Hotstar, we saw solid sub growth, quarter over quarter net adds consistent with what we saw in the previous quarter. So we feel really good about the continued growth in our core markets. And on Hotstar, at Investor Day, we said that we anticipated Hot Starter to be between 30 and 40% of total Disney Plus, and we're not updating that guidance at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks for the question, and I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Note that a reconciliation of non-GAAP measures that were referred to on this call to equivalent GAAP measures can be found on our investor relations website. Let me also remind you that certain statements on this call, including financial estimates or statements about our plans, expectations, beliefs, or business prospects, and other statements that are not historical in nature, may constitute forward-looking statements under the securities laws. We make these statements on the basis of our views and assumptions regarding future events and business performance at the time we make them, and we do not undertake any obligation to update these statements. Forward-looking statements are subject to a number of risks and uncertainties, and actual results may differ materially from the results expressed or implied in light of a variety of factors, including factors contained in our annual report on Form 10-K, quarterly reports on Form 10-Q, and in our other filings with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Really want to thank everyone for joining us today. Hope you have a good rest of the day.
This concludes today's conference call. Thank you for participating. You may now disconnect.
Goodbye.
All right. Like most of their current quarterly reports, a whole lot of nothing. Talking in circles, saying the same stuff. In one sentence, they're saying, things are great. Our hotels are at max capacity. Then in the very next sentence, oh no, we're taking it easy. We want to be careful with COVID. You know, we're controlling the amount of people. Well, which one is it? We're not making any money, but our reservations are off the roof, off the chain. Reservations don't mean anything. Reservations are canceled all the time. What matters is people in the seats, attendance at the parks. So they like to blow smoke and project and do all that stuff, but the numbers aren't there. I need to take a very quick break and take care of something. It will take me about 5 minutes. I'll play an intermission. I'll come back. We're going to look at the PDF report and break down all the numbers in detail. The stream is going to be short anyways. I just want to kind of finish the report and we'll close out. There are some things happening this week. There are little bits of news. I don't want to say too much now. Nothing crazy, but there's some little things. So Friday, we will do the Friday stream. We will do a news stream. Anyways, I'll talk more about that later. Give me 5-10 minutes. I'll play an interlude or an intermission. I will be right back, and we're going to look at the financial report. It is up. Thank you as always. Love you guys, and see you in just a few minutes. Disney.
Why? Because fuck them, that's why.
Wipe them out. All of them.
See you in a minute.
If you think of the first three films as one film, which is what it was intended to be, Darth Vader comes in the front door, scares everybody, kills a few guys, and then you follow it through, and then you find out that Luke is his father, and then eventually it ends up with him not being the bad guy, but actually being a rather sad guy, and then eventually being the hero and killing the Emperor. That if you saw it as one movie, that's the movie you'd see. And one of the problems I had is that Darth Vader became such an icon of evil that when it got split up over 6 years, the impact of him as a tragic character got lost. So that was one of the inspirations for going back and doing the backstory, because it really is about, it's really the tragedy of Darth Vader is the story. The struggle in Star Wars is about passion against compassion, which is greed against giving and giving up primarily. And the whole issue is the flip side of greed is fear of losing. So you're either trying to get things or you're afraid of losing the things that you've got. And the idea is that to let go of those things and because once you start down that path of fear, then you're trying to protect things and you're willing to fight for things and you're willing to. And the Jedi's basic job in the beginning, which we never get to see too much of because we start really during the war, they were like marshals in the Old West. I mean, they would go from town to town and they would, help solve the problems and in a lot of cases the marshals and the judges were pretty much the same thing, and they would just travel and they would bring justice and solve problems for people, which is kind of what Jedi are. And they're negotiators, they're not fighters. Only they're negotiators, sort of like the mafia. They're compassionate negotiators with a very big laser sword, which they don't like to use, but if somebody, doesn't want to solve the problem, then they'll solve it for them, so to speak, which is an incentive for people to solve their problems without fighting.
The first film starts with the last age of the Republic, which is it's getting tired, it's old, it's getting corrupt. There's the rise of the Sith, who are now becoming a force. And in the backdrop of this, you have Anakin Skywalker, a young boy who's destined to be a very significant player in bringing balance back to the Force and the Republic. In the second film, we get into more of that turmoil. It's the beginning of the Clone Wars. It's the beginning of the end of democracy in the Republic, sort of the beginning of the end of the Republic. And it's Anakin Skywalker beginning to deal with some of his more intense emotions of anger, hatred, sense of loss, possessiveness, jealousy, and the other things he's coping with. Then we will get to the third film where he is seduced to the dark side, which brings us up to films 4, 5, and 6, where Anakin's offspring redeem him and allow him to fulfill the prophecy, where he brings balance to the Force by doing away with the Sith and getting rid of evil in the universe. A lot of the issues that are in films 4, 5, and 6 become much clearer when you begin to realize what's behind the issues and how things came to pass. Because there's a lot of things that really are alluded to in the last 3 films, but they don't make much sense unless you really get the gist of what happens, and you really have to have seen 1, 2, and 3 in order to get it all. You get to see the universe, kind of, in the first 3 films. You know, you get to go to the Senate, you get to go to the center of the galaxy, you get to go to these very sophisticated planets and all this kind of stuff. And you're seeing things that are very sophisticated. You're seeing very sophisticated aliens, all kinds of things that are digitally created, large scope, very vast scale and everything. So then when you get down to episode 4, it's all very small. Everything's real tiny. There's no scope to it at all. And it's in a very small corner of the galaxy. You talk about those things, but you never ever get to see them. But of course in this thing, you'll have already seen all those things, so you'll know what they're talking about. And you'll know when he's saying, I'm stuck here in the far corner of the galaxy, you'll know what he's talking about. And you'll realize that he is stuck in a little dim corner of the universe.
Found in all living things, around us, flows from us, controls individuals, yet we have free will. We have a destiny if we want to follow it. We live for a reason and must discover what it is. What happens when you go to the dark side is it goes out of balance, and then you get really selfish and you forget about everybody, and you ultimately lead yourself, because when you get selfish, you get stuff, or you want stuff. Mm-hmm. And when you want stuff and you get stuff, then you are afraid somebody's going to take it away from you, whether it's a person or a thing or a particular pleasure, experience. Mm-hmm. Once you become afraid that somebody's going to take it away from you, or you're going to lose it, then you start to become angry, especially if you're losing it. And that anger leads to hate. And hate leads to suffering. Mostly on the part of the person who's selfish, because you spend all your time being afraid of losing everything you've got, right, instead of actually living. Where joy, by giving to other people, you can't think about yourself.
and therefore there's no pain. But the pleasure factor of greed and of selfishness is a short-lived experience. Therefore, you're constantly trying to replenish it. But of course, the more you replenish it, the harder it is to, so you have to keep upping the ante. You're actually afraid of the pain of not having the joy. So that is ultimately the core of the whole dark side, light side of the force. And everything flows from that. Obviously, the Sith are always unhappy because they never get enough of anything they want. Mostly their selfishness centers around power and control. And the struggle is always to be able to let go of all that stuff. And of course, that's the problem. Anakin ultimately is, you're allowed to love people, but you're not allowed to possess them. And what he did is that he, fell in love and then married her and then became jealous. And then he saw in his visions that she was going to die. He couldn't stand losing her. So in order to not lose her, he made a pact with the devil to be able to become all-powerful.
I am becoming more powerful than any Jedi has ever dreamed of, and I'm doing it for you.
But of course, when he did that, she didn't want to have anything to do with him anymore. So he lost her.
Anakin, you're breaking my heart.
Once you were powerful, being able to bring her back from the dead, well, if I can do that, then I can be Emperor of the Universe. I can get rid of the Emperor. I can do everything. I can make everything the way I want it.
And together, you and I can rule the galaxy. Make things the way we want them to be.
And once you do that, you'll never be satiated. You're always going to be consumed with this driving desire to have more stuff and be afraid that others are going to take it away from you. And of course they are. Because every time you get two Sith together, you have the master, you have the apprentice, and the apprentice is always trying to recruit another apprentice to join with him to kill the master. And the master knows that he's basically everybody below him wants his job. The only way to overcome the dark side is through discipline. The dark side is pleasure, biological, and temporary, and easy to achieve. The light side is joy, everlasting, and difficult to achieve. The great challenge must overcome laziness, give up quick pleasures, and overcome fear, which leads to hate. It's about good and evil in us, as well as our institutions. So, and the idea that some of us think we're really great people, but in the real world we're not. We're terrible people.
Or you can make bad choices.
Well, you make bad choices, but you run your life in a very selfish way, and you think you're doing good when you're actually not. And at the same time, it's how do democracies turn back into dictatorships? Why do people who have the power to have the freedom and everything turn it over to somebody who's going to take it all away from them? It's happened through history forever and ever, and all Star Wars is a way of updating that idea to say, watch out, because there are people out there who don't play by the rules, and if you're not careful, you're going to lose all your freedom. And at the same time, those people who may not play by the rules because they're selfish and greedy turn themselves into evil people who don't care about other people.
And that's that. Let's get through the PDF. And again, Friday, we have a few things to talk about. I did see about the Walmart. I also look at Walmart and there ain't nothing. Did they talk about much? They did talk a little bit about it. We're going to look at the official numbers right now. Roughly 14 million. We're going to look at it right now. And outside of that, they didn't really talk about nothing. And yes, I got a haircut. Nope, they don't want to admit it. So dumb they can't tell the shows are nothing but damage control and putting lipstick on a pig. Correct. The investors have to be getting tired of this mess. The same shit every call. Yes, I did. Yes. Because Disney. the sun, like, I don't know what happened here. It's like it moved. Maybe once or twice. TikTok probably going to tell me I'm toxic. Yeah. Oh, yeah, they will. Toxic man babies. This is where the fun begins, yes. All right. I can't worry about him or anybody else. All I can do is spread the truth. So, hold on a second. I think I shared the wrong thing. Just a moment. Should be this. There we go. All right, you guys should see that. Yes. Let's take a look at the numbers. We'll wrap up, and Friday we will have a few things to talk about, and we can hang out and all that good stuff. For immediate release, August 12, 2021. Everyone hear me okay? Everything good? Should be working. Okay. Walt Disney Company reports third quarter and 9 months earnings for fiscal 2021. Burbank today reported earnings for its third quarter. Diluted earnings per share, 50 cents, compared to a loss of $2.61 in the prior year quarter. Increased to 80 cents from 8 cents. So there's a little increase there, but they can't even make $1. Diluted EPS, loss of $1.17 in the prior period, 14% to 191 from 222 in the prior period. So as you can see, it's down roughly 30 cents. As they said in the stream, they will still not report or pay dividends. I'm sure the stockholders love this. It's been well over a year, probably going on 2 years, that they do not want to pay dividends. As always, they say the same stuff. Everything's great, but, really, actually, everything's not. I also want to point out, if you guys really pay attention, it's always the same callers. That girl from JP Morgan, that one guy from Morgan Stanley. Did you hear the one guy from Credit Suisse? If you guys have been paying attention to my live streams, there was the Credit Suisse live stream. That was the guy. There was remember where he said, because of us, everybody knows what Marvel is. That JP Morgan guy or Morgan Stanley guy, that's him. They're controlling the calls of who can call, and I guarantee you they're handing them the questions to ask. That woman from JP Morgan always asks the same thing. How is the parks? What's the status with the parks? What are they going to look like moving forward? There's a definite pattern that I have picked up. It's the same people, and they're asking often the same question. That's Morgan Stanley guy, always with, what's the growth of Hulu? What's Hulu going to look like? It's the same thing. Not everybody catches it, but I have caught it. They are asking the same people the same questions, and they are very much controlling these press conferences. With that said, the quarter ended. You're looking at June 27th of 2020 versus July 3rd of 2021. By the way, the question of 51 weeks, there or 53 weeks, there you go. It's just the way that in business things are tracked. Sometimes they overlap like a week or something. So remember that this is millions, and then when there's a comma, that means billions. So they went from revenues. They are claiming last year 11,779 million. They're claiming now that they are 17,022 million. A 4% change. That's not enough. That's not going to save them. Remember, they are also still in over $50 billion of debt. Income loss from continuing operations. Last year they lost $4,840 million. This year they've lost $995 million. I don't know if that's correct. I would have to double check the last report, but that sounds awfully low. I think they lost much more than that. But in any case, it makes sense that it's better because things are lifted. The parks are starting to be more full. So, but these aren't record. They haven't even made anything substantial. Operating income. Last year they made $1,099,000,000. Here they're at $2,382,000,000. So about double, 18%, but nothing near what they should be making. Income loss from continuing operations is roughly the same here, $4,000,000,000 to $923,000,000. So think about this: loss from operations. It's not that the operations are going better; it's that everything was closed and now they have some people in the park. So this number is very, like, you have to take the context of what it is. It's not that they're improving or doing better or making money. It's just that they lost less money because now some people are in the park. Can you dig it? EPS from continuing operations. It was $2.61. Now it's 50 cents. Or, sorry, $2,061,000,000, and it's now 50 million. Certain items, blah, blah, blah. Cash provided by continuing operations. Last year, $1,162,000,000. Here they're at $1,466,000,000. So a change of 300 million. That doesn't even cover the cost of anything for 1 month of Disney. Free cash flow. Last year they had 454. Now they have 528. Keep in mind, they took out more than $20 billion in cash loans. So of course they have more flow of free cash because they took out massive loans last year. I would have to check the dates, but I'm pretty sure 454 was before the loans. Okay, so they're going to have 528 after the loans. But notice that they don't have billions left. They have 528 million of roughly 31 billion that they took loans out on. It's always context. Same rough numbers here. No major changes. If you remember in previous reports, the losses were like 90%. And here the gains are like, 7%. Here they got charges for restructuring and stuff. Look how much they've gone up. 90% to refix shit. To redo Magic Mountain or Splash Mountain and all that crap. That's not a good number. That's showing you they've increased costs drastically. Okay, nothing special there. Again, of course, COVID did it's not our crappy shit. It's not our politics. It's not supporting racists. It's not firing people. It's not disrespecting and trashing franchises. It's all COVID. Poor us. It's all COVID. Meanwhile, everyone's stuck at home. All your numbers should be way through the roof, and they're not. Let's see. Revenues. Media. Last year was 10 billion. Now they're at 12. So $2 billion change, 4%. That's not going to save you, Disney. Parks and experiences, products. Total revenues last year, 11. Remember, everything was closed, and now they're just open at 17. So the $6 billion difference, 4%. That's not going to get it, Disney. Operating income loss. Last year they lost $2,977,000,000. Now they lost $2,026,000,000. As you can see, only a 4% change. So the loss and the gains are only but 4%. They're basically at zero. They haven't gotten better and they haven't really lost a lot more, but they still have lost more than they did and gained less than they did. Operating income. They're up $1 billion roughly to 1.3, 1.2. It's not going to get it, Disney. Direct to consumer is up twice, 62%. Well, of course, everything was closed. Naturally, it's going to be up. Remember that when the pandemic started. A lot of this is. Okay, Disney Plus. I also want to make a note. They always talk about, well, we gained this many Disney Plus subscribers, but what they're not telling you is a lot of those subscribers come in the bundle. So there's people that just want ESPN, but they figure if I'm going to pay $7, I might as well pay $12 and get everything. So while they get a subscription to Disney Plus and Disney is counting that, they may never even open or launch Disney Plus. They bought the bundle for ESPN and or Hulu, or maybe just Hulu. Understand? Because they're getting it in the package. Disney's counting that as a subscriber. So that's not necessarily an accurate number. All right? That number is skewed because a lot of those people that got Disney Plus in with it aren't using it. It's like you get a bag of lollipops, right? You like lemon, you like cherry, like I do, but I really don't like strawberry. So what do? I give strawberry to a friend or somebody that wants it. I personally don't eat the strawberry. So for Brock's or a company to be like, well, we sold 10 bags, and that means that's 10 people that ate strawberry. No. Because at least one, me, is just going to throw away or give away the strawberry. I'm not a true strawberry subscriber. I bought the bag because in a bundle, I get more cherries and lemons. Understand? So there's people that are getting ESPN and or Hulu, and because it comes with Disney Plus, they're counting that subscriber. But some of those people don't give a goddamn about Disney Plus, and they don't even open the app. With that said, last year they had 57.5 million subscribers. Now they have 116. That sounds like a lot to me and you in the streaming wars. That ain't nothing. It's not enough. And they went up roughly 14 million since the last quarter. It's not enough. They're not growing. All this spectacular content they claim, including movies like Black Widow and new stuff, and that's not enough. It's not enough. Now, if you add up, I don't know if the total's here. No, it's not. But if you figure 116 Disney Plus 14 is 131. 42 on Hulu. So 131, did I say? Plus 40. It's 173.8, 174 roughly. Netflix alone has over 200 million subscribers. Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, plus Hulu Plus have less combined than Netflix. And I repeat again, there's people that get the bundle because that's how you have to get ESPN. And then you get Disney Plus thrown in. And they're not watching Disney Plus. They're watching sports. And it's not to say that people that love sports don't watch Disney or vice versa. But realistically, you're either a sports guy and you're not watching kiddie Disney movies, or you're into the Disney stuff and you're not much into sports. Do they bleed over? Do people watch both? Sure, some will. But in general, you cannot count those subscribers on Disney Plus accurately because they're not individual Disney Plus subscriptions. They are in the bundle. In any event, they have a change of about 14 million from the last quarter, which is the important thing, not from last year. Revenues for the parks revenues increased to 4.3 billion compared to 1.1 billion in the prior quarter. Of course, because the park's open now. But those aren't great numbers. Remember that the way that Disney Corp functions is what they make from the parks is what is funding the movies, the cartoons, the marketing, and everything. Everything rides on the parks. And if all they're making is 4.3 billion per quarter, times 4 is 16 billion. They're over 50 billion in debt. It's very simple math. The numbers don't lie. All the same basic numbers, just broken down differently. I don't want to waste a lot of time. The link is at the bottom of the description of this live stream if you want to go to the recording of the press conference. Plus, there's the PDF right there if anyone wants to look at them more closely, revise them. It's all there. I do this every quarter, and as you guys can see, it's always the same. They've got very little gains. And here we go. 9 months ended June 27th of 2020 compared to July 3rd of 2021. They had $2,656 million of cash, and now they have $466 million. $2.2 billion under. And that's not counting debt. That's just free cash. A change of $2,190 million. Okay? So things are not good in the House of Mouse. They continue to go tumbling. Subscribers are not coming. They're putting out really bad content, and they're running out of time. Now, granted, the parks are starting to open. They're going to start making some revenue. There are people that are going to always support Disney, but it's not enough. You need the casual viewer. You need more people coming into the park. It's not enough. Cash equivalents, and restricted cash, end of period, June 27, 2020, $23,154 million. As you can see here, it's down $16,115 million. Same here, it's down for the 9 months. So no matter how you slice it, for the quarter, for the 9 months, for the year, all numbers are down. A lot of this is the same numbers, just in different, different ways of looking at it, per the quarter, per the year, per the months, breaking down the same totals, but now saying, well, but in this case, the parks did this, or the studios did this, or the EPS did this. But at the end of the day, the big number always shows the same thing. They're down. And I don't want to spend too much time going through every little thing, because at the end of the day, the moral of the story is Disney's bleeding still, and they're going to be bleeding for a while. They themselves have admitted until 2025, we are not making money. So for all you shareholders out there, I don't know what you're doing, but hey, it's your money. Throw it out the window. Quarter ended June 27th last year to compared to July 3rd this year, $4,721 million, and here we are at $918 million, a change of just under $4 billion, 3.8. Same numbers in different ways. Again, I don't want to waste time going through all of it. What you need to see is always this. You see, it's always down. Always the number, you see, 6 billion to 3 billion. Everything is down. That's the moral of the story here. This one's just barely up. And if it's up, it's such a small change. All right, that's what matters. Not going one by one, but we see that it continues to fall. So again, the link is in the description. Those are there if you want to see them. Let me catch up on your comments. Again, I want to keep this short and steady and concentrated on the topic. There it is. They're still in a shitstorm. They're bleeding. They're not making money. They're not coming back. We see the content. It's trash. It's just that simple. We know it. They know it. And, I don't know how much longer they're going to be able to hold out with this. I don't know how they're doing it, but continuing to get cash loans is not the way. They're getting sued by Scarlett Johansson. I mean, just everything's a train wreck. Things are getting banned in China. It's just one thing after another. We will talk about some Star Wars stuff this Friday. Let me read your comments, and we'll wrap it up. It's good, except it's not. The calls are fake. Yes, they are scripted. They are the same people. Every call is the same freaking people. Good China juice. Blue-haired idiots on Twitter. It can't hurt you. Lord of the Rings show. They described it as the next Game of Thrones. Yeah. Sell Lucasfilm. It's the only way, guys. You want Star Wars back? We must force them to sell Lucasfilm. Do not buy their shit. Do not watch their shit. You must squeeze Mickey by the nuts, especially now when he's down on his knees. Smack him in the face, squeeze his nuts real hard, and force them to cough up Lucasfilm. It's the only way you're going to get Star Wars. It's your choice. Do you want that ridiculous Bad Batch crap? Or do you want Star Wars? It's up to you. You get around to watching Battlestar? No. Arnold Chapek. Freedom Peacock. One of the people. Images looks like Bruce Willis. That would be Chapek, if that's what you're talking about. They definitely added Disney Plus to Hulu and the bundle to artificially inflate their subscription. Correct. And I needed to point that out because I always forget to say it, and people get the wrong impression. Like, oh, they got 14 million subscribers. Yeah, more like probably 8 or 10, because a lot of those are going to be in the bundle. And for all we know, half of them or a majority of them. But I'm going to give them some leeway. I'm going to give them some benefit. And, probably out of the 14 million that just gained, 10 of those are actually people that say, I want Disney Plus. And then you got the other 4, 5, 6 million that are like, oh, well, I get it in the bundle. Why not? And they never open it. They never install it on their phone. They never watch it. Because let's be real. A guy in his 20s or 30s drinking beer, watching hockey, don't give a goddamn about Mickey Mouse or Bambi or, Loki or any of that stuff. You will get an Uba. Not enough to pay the huge productions. Correct. The parks support everything in Disney. The cartoons, the movies, the promotions, the marketing, the actors, all the stuff that Disney does rides on the income from the parks. And the movies ain't making money anyways. I love Bambi too, Sinastro. Good to see you. Bambi's one of my favorite all-time movies. I will repeat for anyone new, or for anyone that forgets. I don't hate Disney. I'm not here because I'm just like, I hate Disney. No. I grew up with Disney. I love Disney. Bambi's very close to my heart, in fact. Because I have the personal family ties with that movie, ironically. That's another story for a good story for another time. A good question for another time. Anyways, it's not about hating Disney. I grew up with it. I had Figment. I had all kinds of things. I went to Disney World. It's not that I hate Disney. But I'm not going to sit here and watch them lie to people, support racism and hate, diminish people, fire people for no reason, destroy franchises, and lie to you. Lie right in your face. I will always call out anyone. So I have no internal hate for Disney because some people got it twisted, and that ain't the case. I grew up with Star Wars. When I was 3 years old, I was in that fucking theater watching that movie. It has nothing to do with hate. It has to do with all facts and reality. And I will not let Disney nor anyone slide with the bullshit. So I don't ask anybody to go to Disney World and burn the park down, but stop buying and supporting their bullshit because they're just playing you. You are nothing but a number. You are a consumer. You're not even a customer anymore. They call you a consumer. I have no hate, but I certainly have love, especially for Star Wars, and I will defend it when you have a corporation that's just become a monopoly and buying everything up and shitting all over it. And that includes Marvel and everything else. Their own content they're shitting on. The only thing I watch on Hulu that Disney owns is some stuff from Fox and some stuff on ABC. Yes, I'm 30,000 a credit card. That's not even possible, dude. You don't even have a credit card. It's not enough. 30K, stop using it and pay it down. You might have to mow lawns here. You're going to have to mow a lot of lawns. Go mow Bob Chapek's lawn. Maybe you'll get $3. Does Disney really think we'll pay? Yes, their new hotel is $6K for 2 nights. But, it's about inclusivity and the family and magic. Who the hell can afford $6K for 2 nights? There's some people out there, but most of us will never be able to even go there. Thank you guys for inviting. I love all the y'all stuff, but Disney hasn't put anything good out in ages. Correct. Again, I grew up with Disney. I don't have some hate for them. But enough with the bullshit. And remember what I told you guys the other day. I've been after them for a long time, but they fucking crossed the line with my friend Jonathan Rinzler. And Disney, I know you listen. I got something for you. I have just begun. You thought all I did these past years was something? I've just begun. Be ready, Disney. I'm coming. Spend it all on knockoff Boba Fett called Boo Boo Feet. His armor silver and doesn't have an antenna. He also comes with a green baby. You've done a lot of bullshit, Disney, but you fucking stepped the line on my butt, on my friend, with that bullshit. And I got something for you. Can't wait for your next YouTube stream tomorrow. I can make fun of so much. And now the Bad Batch is ending. It's going to be fun to mock. It will, indeed. Disney's as fake as a Kardashian. There you go. Finish him, I will. Mickey Mouse, I'm coming, buddy. I'm coming. Y'all fucking let the tiger out the cage now. Because let me tell you something. Believe it or not, guys, I've been a little bit holding back. Not anymore. I want Star Wars. So do I, baby. And if I have anything to do with it, I'm going to choke them to fucking death till they sell that fucking Lucasfilm. Hashtag sell Lucasfilm. Everywhere you go, everywhere you post. Hashtag sell Lucasfilm. They post a video, you post it on there. Sell Lucasfilm. Squeeze Mickey's nuts till he's blue in the face and can't take it anymore. Star Wars has died, but I can bring it back to life. If you've been paying attention, if you know who I am, we can have it back. It's up to you. It's not my Disney either. It's not anybody's Disney. And the shareholders are finally starting to be like, it ain't ours either. First episode of Marvel, What If just came out. I'm not sure. I'm not watching it because what's the point when there's a bunch of shit that never happened. Apparently, Peggy Carter, Soldier, Bucky Barnes. Okay, Marvel stuff. Love Disney, but I abhor what Disney has become. I wholeheartedly agree. Again, I can't stress how much I grew up and loved Disney. I went to the park and walked around, and my feet were killing me. So when Steve Rogers, Captain America, Bucky, Winter Soldier, all right. Alternate realities, watch Star Wars Theory. He talks about stuff that never happened. Yeah, well, I can't comment on him. That's his problem. He's a shill. He's wasting his time, and they're just going to shit all over all this stuff that the Bad Batch is going to flip right on him, just like the sequel trilogy. And he's going to be like, oh my God, I didn't see it. I don't know how to help Disney. I'm done. I don't even waste my time. What they did to John was horrible. Yeah, well, John doesn't need to suffer anymore. Correct. They attacked him with the team of lawyers, and they had the nerve to, now that he passed, say, oh, we loved him and he was so important and great and blah, 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 blah. I can't find that tweet. Maybe I need to take the time to try to pull it up in the Wayback Machine. You fucked up, Disney. You already were on my bad side, and you tried that shit with my fucking friend. I got something for you. I won't spoil the first episode of The Bad Batch, the final episode. Okay, with that said, I want to get this one done, stay on topic. Tomorrow we will have some stuff. It's not major stuff, but there's a few things that we can talk about. There's little things happening. Again, nothing, out of this world, but there's things that are happening. A lot of it is confirmations of what I've been telling you guys. All right, you're going to see some things tomorrow. We'll hang out for a few. You will get your Uba. I'm going to give you some video, man. Tomorrow's stream won't be super long, but we'll have 2-3 hours where you can chill and talk. And I have little pieces of news so we can see what's going on. We will review the last episode of Bad Batch, which we'll see. Anything can happen. But my prediction, I will give you guys again. The Bad Batch is now connected with Gregor. They're in contact with Rex. They already said they're contacting him. They're going to go with Gregor. The Bad Batch, and by the way, they got Crosshair back. Crosshair is going to turn back to the light. They're going to go hook up with Gregor and then Rex, and they're going to start a commando squad. And then guess what? Ahsoka all the time, Ahsoka all the time. So it's going to be Ahsoka and her little band of brothers going around the galaxy. Meanwhile, in A New Hope, the little bitch was nowhere to be found. So do all you want, Dave, and try to connect it all you want. But real Star Wars fans see right through your bullshit. You can't reconcile what has happened. You can't insert her into The Mandalorian and the OT and pretend like people are just going to be like, oh, okay, yo, Ahsoka. No. There's those of us that know and care about Star Wars. And your little Ahsoka is going to be your own downfall. So keep pushing. Keep going. We'll talk a little more about Ahsoka tomorrow, by the way. Anyways, love you guys to death. We will go out with some shenanigans. Thank you, as always, for the support. Remember that everything I do is in Jonathan's name, Disney. And I have only just begun. You guys are awesome. We'll hang out tomorrow. Let me see if there's anything else. Yeah, the sun is moving all over the place in this stream. It's funny, just the hour. Oh, by the way, tomorrow I'm going to try my damnedest to do it earlier. In fact, I might even come on like 5, 6 o'clock. Because it starts to get so late, and I know a lot of you can't watch the stream. Plus, I go over to YouNow after, and it just turns into a whole thing. So I'm going to try my damnedest by 7 tomorrow, but I might even come on 5, 6 o'clock. So heads up. Either way, there will be the replay, and I do have to move here on the 1st. We will talk about it on the final Friday. I'll let you know better what's going on. I'm not sure where I'm going to be or what I'm going to be doing. The Fridays may be suspended for a few weeks. But as I said, no matter what happens, guys, I ain't going nowhere. Don't worry. We're going to continue destroying Disney. They started this. I didn't. But I goddamn will be finishing it. It's start time. Like I said, I'm going to try to do it earlier. Lawyers on him, yes. Tomorrow, remind me. We will talk all about it. No problem. They crossed the line with me, and I've had it. After work nap. Yes, I know. I can't promise it's going to be that early, but just letting you know, I'm going to try my best to come earlier. Nothing going on. Yes. Ahsoka all the time, baby. Did you know Real Skeletons when Pirates of the Caribbean Raid came out? That's pretty messed up. Yes, they were. Yeah, thank you again. Remember that all these streams will be fundraisers. So if you ever want to honor him, buy his books. You know, give some money to the kids. We'll talk about it tomorrow. From the bark, I don't know. They banned the people that they shut up. They banned the stuff he said about them, and when he did, they acted like they loved him. Yes, in a nutshell. And tomorrow we can talk about it. I'll get into detail, show you. I do need to look at his blog and see what's going on anyways. I have not spoken to the family. I've been very busy. There's a lot going on. I'm about to move, and I want to give them some space. But when I talk to them, we're going to discuss a few things, and I will keep you guys posted. With that said,
zooming at the lightning speed of computer blips.
If Video Man were here now, you'd be in real trouble.
But he isn't. Almost at the speed of light, Video Man streaks through the maze of wires, following the powerful pulses right back to their source. In microseconds.
Disney, I've been after you for 2 years, and I know I've been a thorn, but a lot of stuff is going on with Not My Star Wars, and now I have even more strength and power and energy and fervor, and you fucked up with my friend. Be ready.
And this is only the beginning. This is just the tip of the iceberg.
Because I'm coming.
Uba. Uba.
I will continue to remind people of what your attitude is and what you think of your very customers and the franchises that you own.
Now, as far as the characters in these stories, how closely did you work with the artists on creating characters? As you said, we didn't have the canon to pull from, aside from a couple characters like Yoda.
You know, Yoda, whatever.
I'm sorry, Charles is Yoda, whatever.
And sure, Yoda's in it, whatever.
And Yoda, whatever.
And Yoda.
Yoda, whatever. I'm
And
so
not
gonna
nice
get you a
pirate.
shirt, Charles. It says, and Yoda,
Yoda,
whatever.
whatever.
And then also Yoda. Whatever.
Yeah, Yoda, whatever.
Then, yeah.
You chose this, you dirty rat. But even your own people love me. And oh boy.
Spider sense is tingling. What's next?
The truth will always set you free, and I get stronger every day. And boy, did you really fuck up with Jonathan. But that's okay.
I can wipe you out of existence. Like this.
I will always remind everyone of what needs to be done. And on my last dying breath, I'm going to force you to sell fucking Lucasfilm.
Wipe them out. All of them.
Your end is coming, Disney. If not just Star Wars, all of it. But as long as I breathe, you're going to choke up Lucasfilm. Mark my words.
Please like the video if you liked it. If you didn't like it, keep your comments to yourself.
It's coming. And if you thought I did anything these past 2 years,
This is where the fun begins.
love you guys. Let me see if there's anything here. I'm going to try to start early tomorrow. We'll see. Yeah, see you at 10 or 11. It's quite possible. But I'm going to try my best. Yep. You know, Yoda, whatever. Good to see you, Justin. Thanks, buddy. I can't wait for Book of Boba Fett. Mark and I are going to have a blast. You guys are going to love that. I know we're going to have so much fun with that. Well, let me leave you with just a few more pieces of fun.
Let's go to the library for a few minutes. See you later, guys.
What's so great about him? You mean besides being big, strong, handsome?
What can I do? I am who I am. And part of who I am.
Maker of Video Man Game. Location unknown.
You thought I was clever before? Oh, now I'm going to start using everything you've ever said and done against you. You done fucked up. You really done fucked up. How dare you, out of your mouths, talk about Jonathan Rinzler. I do it, and I will continue to do it, because they have done this themselves. They chose this battle, and now it's come to a point.
Why? Because fuck them, that's why.
Love you guys. See you tomorrow. We have some bits of news, and we'll chat. We'll talk about the Jonathan thing, and just more confirmations of what I've been telling you. I hate to say it, but I told you so. Kathleen ain't going nowhere. We're going to continue on. If you want any of this stuff, Indiana Jones, Star Wars, any of this stuff to come back, you must sell Lucasfilm. As long as Dildoni, Pablo Dildago, Kathleen Kennedy, it's over. So it's your choice, guys. It's your choice. Squeeze Mickey by the nuts. I'll see you tomorrow. May the force be with you. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the video. May the force be with you.
Impressive.